It's Jean, Irish LA girl. I'm here to talk about Irish soda bread. I have a lot of American friends that ask me how to make Irish soda bread. So today I'm going to show you how to make an easy 4-ingredient soda bread. Buttermilk, baking soda, salt, and whole flour. All you need are those 4 ingredients and a nice deep wide bowl, weighing scales, a measuring cup, and a half a teaspoon measure. And to top it off, once it's all baked, we'll have Kerrygold butter to slather on top. I don't buy any other butter except Kerrygold butter. So the recipe I like to use is Darina Allen's and Kerrygold's Irish soda bread. I just pull it up online every time just to have kind of in the background here, but I know it off by heart at this stage. So we're going to weigh a pound of flour. It's all-purpose flour. And a tip here and a trick is to, before you turn on the digital weighing scales, just pop the bowl on top, then turn on the weighing scales, and then pour in your pound of flour. So once that's in, I have about a pound there. We're good to go with that. I want to preheat the oven to 450, so I'm just going to turn that on right now. Bake 450, get that heated up while I'm making the Irish soda bread. So basically in the bowl, you'll see there's a nice pound of all-purpose flour. We're going to spread that out to the side. And then we're also going to add salt. The salt amount is about 1 teaspoon and the baking soda is a half a teaspoon. So a half a teaspoon measure works great because you just get 2 of these to make a teaspoon. Teaspoon of salt. So you're done with the salt. Pop that to the side. And then half a teaspoon of baking soda. Just pop that in. And then what you want to do is you want to use your fingers to lift and aerate the baking soda, the flour, and the salt. So we're just going to aerate that just to distribute all the items smoothly and evenly amongst each other. Then we're going to spread the flour out to the side of the bowl, make a deep hole. Now you have a nice deep hole in the middle of your bowl and the flour is all spread around. What we're going to do is add about 16 ounces. It says 13 to 16 ounces. I usually stick around 14. So I have a measuring cup here. It happens to hold nicely 14 ounces. So that is what I typically use. It measures exactly at that. We'll pop those over to the side. We're done with those. We're done with the flour. Now we just have our nice clean surface, our bowl of flour, and our buttermilk. We're going to pour that in. The buttermilk is what gives the bread the great texture. We're done with that. And we're going to spread our fingers evenly and wide, and we're going to start working in circles, clockwise. We're going to start working in clockwise circles, and we're going to use our fingers as the mixer. Basically, you want to mix lightly and gently all the flour and the buttermilk in together until it becomes one unit. Okay, we're nearly there. It gets quite sticky and messy. So, meanwhile, on the side, you can have a baking pan that you can pop the bread onto once it all comes together. You don't need to grease it, you don't need to add anything to it, just a plain old baking pan to pop this bread onto straight into the oven. Okay, I think we're pretty good here. Then you turn it out onto a nice clean surface, which you will have cleaned before you start. As you can see, my fingers are quite a mess. However, the trick is here, one of the tricks is to wash your hands right now. So I'm going to wash my hands really quickly before I start molding this together. Give them a quick clean. Now our hands are clean to mold this gently, softly into a nice circular state. We don't want necessarily a ball, but we do want it to be somewhat round. It can be oval, it can be round, and you just flatten it down very so gently. You also need a sharp knife for this recipe. What we're going to do is we're going to lift the bread onto the pan, and then we're going to do the final trick of the recipe. We've got our nice pan here. We're going to lift this up. We're going to pop it on, reorganize it, shape it nice and gently. It's okay if it's rough and ready looking, that's quite all right. Then we're going to get this knife and we're going to do the old Irish cross. So give it a little cross one way, not all the way through, about a quarter of the way through. Irish cross the other way. Go over that again just to make sure you have a cross in it. The reason for this is to let the air out, and then use the tip of the knife and you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 to let all the fairies out. You pop this into the oven for 20 minutes at 450, then lower to 400 for another 15 minutes, and voila, it's done. And we're back. So your Irish soda bread has been in the oven for about 35 minutes total. It started off at 450 degrees for about 20 minutes, and then I reduced the temperature to 400 degrees for a further 15 minutes. And then a little trick at the very end is to top the cake of bread over, and yes, we use the term cake of bread in addition to loaf of bread, same, but just another term. So just tip the loaf or cake of bread over upside down and pop it back into the oven for another 5 minutes, and then we'll take it out. So it should be ready now, and I'm going to just take it out of the oven. Now, as you can see, it's upside down, so the way to test it is I'm just going to tap it. Nice and hollow. If it sounds hollow, it means it's cooked. So I'm going to pop it off the tray here and turn it upside down onto a nice cooling rack. You want to leave the loaf of bread or the cake of bread on the rack for about 15 minutes to cool before you start eating it. Although in my family, the second it's out of the oven, it's demolished. So I'm just going to cut into it, show you what it'll look like after it's cooled. I might use the tea towel so it doesn't burn my fingers. Cut it in half. You use a serrated knife, by the way, because it cuts more easily through the bread. And then we're going to cut it again in half, kind of like the Irish cross we referred to at the start of the show. And as you can see, it's cooked nicely all the way through and still retains some moisture. So I'm going to slice it now. It should have a nice crunchy crust on the outside and lovely and soft and fluffy on the inside. Slice yourself a couple of slices. It's piping hot at the moment. And then just your staple in your house, your Irish Kerrygold butter and a butter knife, and slather yourself on some butter. And grab yourself your cup of Irish tea. I like Barry's myself, and enjoy your Irish soda bread. If you'd like to see some more videos by Irish LA Girl, just pop onto the YouTube channel /Irish LA Girl. Thanks so much.